If Mace Windu went to Utapau instead of Obi-Wan Kenobi, this would rewrite the entire Star Wars universe. It was Palpatine's plan to appoint Anakin as his representative on the Council and go to face Grievous because he knew the Council would not allow this, and they would send his master, Obi-Wan, instead. This would separate them and therefore leave Anakin without someone he is fully comfortable with to run and tell about Palpatine's true identity. If Obi-Wan stayed and Mace Windu went to fight Grievous, our story will start just after this scene, right here.
You're the Sith Lord.
I know what's been troubling you. Listen to me.
Don't continue to be a pawn of the Jedi Council.
I'm going to turn you over to the Jedi Council.
Anakin would run to inform his master of Palpatine's true identity. Now, Obi-Wan was not as powerful as Mace Windu, however, he was a much better fighter in the Form 3 fighting style, and particularly Soresu, which focused on defensive skills, allowing the opponent to strike until they faltered or tired. This was how Kenobi beat Grievous, overwhelming 4 lightsaber blades, whirling at hundreds of spins per second. His skill in the form was noted by Mace Windu as referring to him as the Master of Soresu, instead of just a master of it. After Anakin would tell his master, Obi-Wan would do one of two things. He would either wait until Yoda and the others returned, or he would go fight the Chancellor with Saesee, Kit Fisto, and Agen Kolar, and tell Anakin to stay away until he returned. Now, Obi-Wan was confident in his abilities. He was the first Jedi to beat the Sith, Darth Maul, in over 1,000 years, and his training was the best he could have done under Masters Qui-Gon, Mace, and Yoda. Anakin would feel much more at ease telling his master about Palpatine and would go sit in the Jedi Council, contemplating what might go wrong. Now, instead of just Padme's life in his thoughts, he would have his master's, and this troubled him even more. Let's remember, this was Anakin's pre-killing of the younglings. He was still good, conflicted, but remained in the light side of the Force at this point. Obi-Wan would storm the Chancellor's office with the strongest Jedi Masters left at the temple, while Mace and Yoda were on their own missions elsewhere. The thoughts were now building in Anakin's mind. He couldn't take it anymore. What if he lost the knowledge to save Padme? What if he lost Obi-Wan? He just couldn't allow any of this to happen. Running to his ship, he would fly to the Chancellor's office, seeing the flashes of blue, red, and green from the window as he landed his speeder. Entering the office, he would see Palpatine still fighting Obi-Wan, who looked extremely tired. The bodies of Agen Kolar, Kit Fisto, and Saesee laying on the floor. Something felt wrong. He knew it. The Chancellor moved extremely fast, like a red blur at one moment, then completely slowed down the next, as if he were giving Obi-Wan the advantage on purpose, then taking it away from him, simply toying with him. What was he doing? He had never seen his master so out of breath, so tired. He was losing. He knew it would be any moment now. Palpatine looked at Anakin as he said,
"I told you it would come to this. I was right. The Jedi are taking over."
And Obi-Wan would see the conflict within Anakin. He would say,
"Anakin, Chancellor Palpatine is evil!"
Where Palpatine would turn to Obi-Wan, a complete shift in the room would emanate from Palpatine's core, polluting an invisible black blanket of Sith evil. He could see who he truly was now: devious, a liar, manipulative. He had hid himself this whole time from them. He was the one responsible for the attacks on Padme's life, for the turning of Count Dooku, who in turn took his fighting arm. He could have been fooled so easily. Palpatine dropped his lightsaber and raised his hands to Obi-Wan as he said,
No, you will die.
Anakin had never seen Force lightning like this before. It was beyond Dooku's or anything he had ever seen or read about. Pure white and blue, burning the air as it passed through to hit his master in the heart. Too quick to react, burning through his robes and causing his eyes to fade into the back of his head as he seizured helplessly. Anakin couldn't bear the sight. He couldn't see the man who trained him since he was an afraid little boy to be killed right before his eyes. He knew what the right thing to do was, but he also knew that he had to save Padme. Palpatine was distracted, fully immersed into the hatred of the dark side, pressing his attack. He knew he could do anything he wanted to kill the Sith Lord, as he just stood several feet away, watching it all happen. Memories of Obi-Wan flashing before him with each pulse of lightning leaving Palpatine's fingers. Hearing the voice of Qui-Gon Jinn,
Anakin!
he knew what he had to do. Quickly moving to grab Palpatine by the waist as he felt the electrical sparks slash through his body and skull. Feeling Obi-Wan fall to the floor as he twitched, Anakin continued to move towards the window, being burned by the tentacles of fire surrounding the room. Reaching the edge of the massive window in Palpatine's office, he used the overpowered grip of his mechanical hand to dig deep into the Emperor, crushing his pelvis with all of his might. Using the power of the Force and the strength within him, he hurled Palpatine outside the window as he fell to his knees and watched the Supreme Chancellor spin out of control, screaming to the depths of Coruscant. It was all over. As he breathed heavily, scarred and in pain, he crawled over to Obi-Wan, shaking his master who was laying unconscious. Feeling his pulse, he felt a faint but steady slow heartbeat. Grabbing his comlink, he sent for clones immediately to assist him and Obi-Wan, taking them both to a medical station, appointing Sindralik and Shaak Ti in charge of the temple until the other masters returned. Anakin and Obi-Wan would awake a day later, being removed from Bacta tanks, surrounded by Yoda, Mace Windu, Padme, Padawans, and many younglings, all bearing gifts and food for their heroes. They welcomed them back to the temple and rejoiced in the death of the Sith Lord who had reigned tyranny in the shadows of the galaxy for so long. Anakin would be appointed the rank of Master by Mace Windu, granting him total access to the Sith holocrons and scrolls in the restricted section of the temple's archives, allowing him to study all the lore about eternal life. Obi-Wan would be respected for his help in killing the second Sith Lord of their time, and Padme, of course, would give a healthy birth to both Luke and Leia, who would be trained at the temple with open arms, being the offspring of the Chosen One who brought balance to the Force. The Jedi would continue to fight another day, protecting the peace and justice in the galaxy. What do you think of the events that took place? What if Anakin never showed up? Do you think Obi-Wan could have killed Palpatine? I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, can I earn your like? Let me know what other videos you'd like covered in the comments below, and I'll reply. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode of Star Wars Theory. Until then, remember,
the Force will be with you, always.